Hey, this is John. I was going to do a video about what could cause your burners to not light each other instead of individually lighting them. First, I will go over briefly of what could be a problem of just lighting your burner. Very important is this little device right here called an igniter rod. Sometimes this can get bent to where it's too close to the gas coming out right here, or this rod could be too far over and it can't get a clear spark over these little gas holes here to ignite the gas. Or there could be a crack in the ceramic, and so the spark is landing somewhere else because it's easier for the spark to go somewhere else instead of crossing through this short distance right here that you can see to light it. So if you have multiple igniters and one of them works great, the easiest way to do to fix the other ones is to match the gap and everything else with that good one. Another thing too is I just finished cleaning my grill. If you notice, this is nice and clean. The ceramic here, it was all black and gooey. So anytime you do cleaning or repair on your grill or around here, be extremely careful of this. If this cracks, you're done. You'll have to buy a new one because it just won't work again. Or if you break this off. Now if you take a pair, now for some reason the gap's off, if you take a pair of pliers and you just carefully only focus on bending just the rod and not anything else that being too rough with it, you can bend that a little bit here and there to get the gap you want. Now I just finished cleaning my grill and pressure washing it. I don't know if it's actually going to spark, but let's see if it will. It probably won't. Here, see that little spark? Now see, that's a good spark. Now let's say you see the spark, but it's still not lighting the gas. Then you got to check to see how close it is to those holes. Or, like I said, if you have other ones that work, compare it. For example, if you look at this one, you see these holes coming down here. Those holes are only put in on this burner at that angle to get to this spark to light it. And you can see this igniter is really close to those holes. But if you look over here at this one, this igniter is way over here and the holes are way back here. So you'd have to move that up to align it to match the one that works. Like let's say this one works. Okay, and then you have to check them all. Sometimes you can't move the burners but these things might be loose, and so sometimes I've seen some of these igniters slide all the way back into here, and it was just loose when they built it, and so then you have to pull it out and set it up and figure out where the screw is that holds this all in place nice and snug, and re-screw that in. Okay, those are just some tips that I have for that. I used to have a good video more on one that wasn't working, and it was easy to explain that visually and showing it lighting it, but that video just got deleted. So but the main point of this video was to explain the crossover thing. Okay, so what that means is, let's say you light this burner and you want to light these, but you don't, maybe your sparks don't work, you haven't investigated it, and before, as long as you had one lit, there's, if you look here, every multi-burner system has a crossover. So these are my original crossovers. So if I take these off, you can see years of use, it's eroded. So what happens is, if you notice where your spark here is to light it, if you look here, you have some holes right here too to light into this. This used to be an elbow completely one section, but it eroded to now it's just not allowing it to cross over. And so what happened is the gas would travel through this little vent, what we call a crossover, to cross over and light gas that's ready to be lit on this one. Then if you turned this knob on to light this burner, the flame would come over and light the gas to this one. And that's how you get the ability to light multiple burners. But what happens, see, this one's still almost completely one piece. You see here, this should be all completely rectangular here, to allow the gas to, or the flame to only be able to travel this way to light over here. But what happens is it starts to erode, and now the flame just wants to come straight up and not travel, and the gas here will just kind of come up through here, and you just can't get it to cross over. And what you could get if you keep trying and all of a sudden this fills up with gas, it'll cause maybe like a little bit of an explosion. Well, what I did, instead of going online and try to order new pieces and not knowing how much that's going to cost, I took this thick aluminum. I bought it at the hardware store. I bought a long piece and just cut it up, if you notice, to fit exactly the width of that. Now you want to go thick and you want to go with aluminum. You don't want to do stainless because that would just be so difficult to cut. When you go aluminum, even though it's thick, it's a very soft metal, easy to cut with a hacksaw. So I cut it up, and as long as you go thick, the flames will not melt it. I've had this in here for years because it's thick enough to where it cools quicker than it can melt with just a standard flame. And so I just lay those right there. You can see it's right on the edge perfectly on both sides. And these have become my new crossovers. Just like that. Now you notice this one's a lot dirtier than the other two. That's because I don't know what happened. Maybe I was cleaning it and I didn't pay attention and this one fell off. And just didn't pay much attention to it. It didn't work. And I was having trouble getting it to light, and I was thinking, someday I'll get to it. And then I realized after all this time, all I had to do was look at it and saw that I knocked it off. So you just make sure those are lined up exactly with the width. You can just go like that, you know. Now I think this is maybe I don't know, 3/4 by 3/4. I don't think that's quite an inch. It could be, but like I said, you want to go thick. That's got to be at least 3/16, maybe. And then it just rests like that. And now, when I light one, I don't have to try to spark to light the other ones. I just turn the gas on, and the flame will instantly light the other burners that I use when I turn on my gas. So it's a piece of cake, simple fix, way cheaper than trying to get replacements. And if you notice, like on mine, if I were to replace this, I'd have to drill out the rivets, and this is like stainless, you know, and I was a pain in the butt. So now I don't have to mess with that at all. I just put those covers on there, and they've been there for years, and they work great. So that's one way to take care of the crossover issue and troubleshoot your spark.